from the station that's on your side. This is News 12, first at 5.
This new video shows the suspect in the moments leading up to the Atlanta spa shootings. We walk you through the moments before 8 people died.
But first up this evening, there's been a lot of buzz about a new report card out on Richmond County and Columbia County schools. It comes from the Georgia Governor's Office of Student Achievement to school districts really all around the state.
In data released for the 2019 school year, Columbia County schools got a B, Richmond County an F. Our Celeste Springer breaks things down for us.
A really important point is that these grades were on in the 2018 to 2019 school year, so way before the pandemic, before things switched online, and before students struggled to keep up with learning during COVID. The grades are based on a bunch of different factors, things like the Georgia milestone, the education level of teachers, how many absences students have, and graduation rates. We spoke to one Richmond County parent who learned her student might be getting a different middle school due to rezoning. The school he's set to go to received an F.
The only other option for me, unless I figure out how to pay for private school, is to move to Columbia County, where, let's face it, we don't have a lot of educational worries with their middle schools.
Coming up at News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're breaking down the report card and talking to one retired Richmond County teacher about how there's a lot more behind that failing grade.
Interesting report there, Celeste. Thanks very much. Looking forward to seeing you at 6 o'clock. We are on the edge of a weekend, so everybody wants to talk weather now.
Yes, but boy, talk about a change in temperature, Riley. We went from summer, almost spring-like temperatures, now to chilly.
And it's completely happening at a time of year where we would want some warm weather, because tomorrow is actually the start of spring, but it is not going to feel like it, folks. We have double nickels on the thermometer in Aiken County, expecting high temperatures to be within a couple degrees of that heading into tomorrow. So definitely not a warm weekend up ahead. Now, northeast winds have stayed pretty breezy again this afternoon, and those are expected to stay breezy through tonight, tomorrow, and even your Sunday as well, just keeping that cool air in place. Through this evening, we'll stay in the 50s up until around midnight, then gradually dropping through the 40s. And many locations early Saturday morning will be waking up into the mid to upper 30s. We'll have a look at that full weekend forecast in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Riley. An update now to a fire we first brought you. Here's a look at the scene there on the corner of Morgan Street and Emery Street. New video just into our newsroom. Augusta Fire and EMA does say nobody was living there, or I guess we should say no one was supposed to be living there, but you can see the house is destroyed. Just to give you an idea of where this is, it is off S.E. McIntyre and 15th Streets. It's not too far from Josie High School. The fire was first reported after 4. No roads were blocked, and there weren't any injuries.
Today we're hearing from two heroes who helped reunite a Georgia baby and her mom. This comes after a 14-year-old allegedly stole an SUV with the baby still there, strapped in the car. Jamie Kennedy gives us more.
I'm very blessed that God has put Royalty and her mother back together.
It's a modern-day miracle.
My window was down, no music was playing. I got about right there to the cone, and she was screaming.
After hours of separation, kidnapped 1-year-old Royalty Grisby was reunited with her mother.
And the cop just opened the door, and she just grabbed her up and just started hugging her.
Donnie Howe and Michael Thomas ditched their day plans to do some good.
I have a younger niece, Brooklyn, so it's like it touched my heart to even come out here and help.
Feeling Royalty's mother's pain, they drove an hour from Hampton to search for the missing little girl. As they say, it was by divine intervention they heard her cries on their last pass down Stoneley Hill Road.
I knew when she screamed, I just felt like God was telling me that was her. So I stormed up to the porch and I seen her and she was crying. And once I got close enough to where she knew she was safe, like the tears was just gone, and it was like almost she wanted to smile of joy, you know? And it was a heartwarming moment.
The lady who owned the house had no idea.
I almost fainted. I couldn't believe that it landed on my step.
The two men's story almost too good to be true.
So they didn't believe us originally, I would say, in a sense, because the story's wild.
After hours of questioning by police, the men were released.
When they questioned us at the station and all that, they knew it was true. Like there's good people out there, and that's willing to sacrifice and help.
Thank goodness there are good people out there. Today we're also hearing from the mother of that baby. Let's listen to what she has to say.
I would like to start by saying thank you to the DeKalb County Police Department. I have never felt so much support in my life. I'm so glad that my baby is home.
Can you even imagine, Meredith, the sense of relief for that mother just all the way around? What a story it is.
No, almost unbelievable, too, how it ended, but it ended in a very happy way, thank goodness.
She looks fine. She looks like she's
Yeah.
kind of just confused by all the excitement around her, but that is a great sight to see, mother and daughter reunited. Okay, sticking in the Atlanta area, there's some new surveillance video we need to show you about the suspect in this week's spa killings happening around Atlanta.
And in that video, you see him wait outside one of the spas before allegedly killing the first group of victims. Mark Strausman walks us through this video.
Brand new surveillance footage obtained by Atlanta affiliate CBS 46 shows suspect Robert Long waited in his car for an hour before he calmly exited the vehicle and allegedly started the rampage that killed 8 people, 6 of whom were Asian women.
The investigation into a possible hate crime, is that still on the table?
Our investigation is looking at everything, so nothing is off the table for our investigation.
Meanwhile, the Cherokee County captain who said the suspect was having a bad day is off the investigation, as the sheriff said he mourned with the community.
And I just want to let our community know, I want the world to know, we're better than this. Our hearts go out to these people.
Right now, we know the names of just 4 of the victims. 33-year-old Delana Yon was a wife and mother of 2. Other victims include 54-year-old Paul Michaels, 49-year-old Shajay Tan, and 44-year-old Dao Yo Fong. Police say they have yet to identify the remaining victims. Georgia State Representative Ben Nguyen says the Asian American community may resist coming forward about the violent acts.
Most immigrant families don't trust media and law enforcement and being vocal in a public way. So I think that is also a contributing factor in whether or not we are going to hear from families. And so that compounds how horrific this is and really highlights the vulnerabilities of these victims.
State Representative Nguyen believes that these murders qualify as a hate crime under Georgia law because the gunman targeted women. Mark Strausman, CBS News, Atlanta.
President Joe Biden ordered flags to be flown at half-staff across the country to mourn the loss of the 8 people who were shot and killed at Atlanta spas this week. You can see the community stands against the violence of Asians and Asian Americans. The flags will stay at half-staff until Monday. 6 of the women killed were Asian, including 4 who were Korean. First at 5, one person in jail after police say she drove the wrong way on Jefferson Davis Highway. Around 10:30 this morning, South Carolina Highway Patrol says Kalita White hit a car, kept going, and then hit another before finally stopping right around Honda of Aiken.
Georgia lawmakers to pass.
We are expecting temperatures to be cooler than average heading into the first day of spring. Look at that weekend forecast next.
If you have
We'll take a look over Aiken. You can see a good bit of cloud covers with us, and temperatures on the cooler side towards at least for the middle of March. We're currently at 59 degrees. It is a little bit chilly out there this afternoon, and actually this 59 number is likely going to be warmer than most of us see tomorrow afternoon as well. Most of us should see in the mid-50s for high temperatures on Saturday. Here's a satellite view of that cloud cover that has moved in for us through this afternoon. We woke up with a little bit of sunshine, but these clouds moved in right around midday, and they've been sticking with us and expected to stay generally cloudy for this evening, but expecting those clouds to break up towards tomorrow morning. Now, high pressure is sitting towards our north, and this setup brings us what we refer to as the wedge. So northeast winds, cooler than average temperatures, and potentially even some rain. Now, the rain chances heading into the weekend will be with us late Saturday into early Sunday, so I wouldn't cancel any outdoor plans Saturday or Sunday during the day. This rain chance will happen after sunset on Saturday and most likely into the overnight and towards sunrise on Sunday morning. Now, most of the rain chances that we're expecting this weekend will be south of I-20, and not anticipating a lot of this to actually make it towards us here in the metro. So our southern counties will likely battle a few light showers heading into Sunday morning, but not anticipated to be too widespread for us. And even the places that do see rain heading into Sunday morning, not expecting a whole lot. The rain totals you're about to see here are just highlighting that rain chances will be highest mainly south of I-20. We could see a patch of drizzle, maybe a light sprinkle here in Augusta, but the higher rain chances will definitely be south of us. Burke, Millen, Burke County, Jenkins County, Screven County, that would be where you most likely see just a scattered shower move through early in the day on Sunday. But once again, most of your Sunday during the day should be dry. Our low temperatures early tomorrow morning are going to be on the cooler side, definitely below average. And remember, actually, the first day of spring is on Saturday. Just not really going to feel like it all too much for us. We're expecting those high temperatures on Saturday to stay in the mid-50s, staying with some fairly cloudy skies at least into the afternoon. We'll likely wake up with some sunshine again tomorrow morning before that cloud cover does increase. For your Sunday, rain chances will be with us just before lunchtime. Not expecting that rain to be too widespread, so definitely keep your outdoor plans for the weekend. Now, heading into next week, that's when we finally start to warm up again, seeing the 70s by Monday. And then later next week, as that warmer air starts to arrive, we will see those rain chances go up as well. Stick with us. We'll have much more news and weather just after a short break.
High performance.
Help is on the way for millions of Americans who lost a loved one to COVID-19. FEMA has a program that will help cover funeral costs for anyone who died from COVID. Cindy Sinafani explains.
My brother and I had contracted COVID while we were taking care of our mom and dad, and I went to the hospital on the 25th. My mom passed on the 28th.
Wrdw is one out of the hundreds of thousands of families in the U.S. who can apply to FEMA for money to cover funerals starting in April.
So none of us were able to see her this whole time she was there. So I was not able to say goodbye or give her a hug or anything like that. And then 6 days later, my dad passed away.
FEMA has $2 billion for funeral reimbursements. The funds will be given to individuals and households where COVID-19 is the underlying cause of death for a family member. Applicants will have to show that any funeral expense was made between December 31st, 2020 and January 20th of this year.
The assistance coming from FEMA will help families overcome somewhat of a shock of the death in a family that wasn't expected.
With the average funeral costing upwards of $10,000, those who oversee funeral homes in the Chattahoochee Valley say any amount would benefit someone who has lost so much.
A lot of families just need the assistance to get through a tough situation. And, if you can get up to $7,000, that helps out greatly toward a funeral.
The money for funeral assistance comes from the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, better known as the CARES Act. FEMA plans to open up applications in April. In order to qualify for funeral reimbursement, you'll need to show the death certificate of your loved one that shows COVID is an underlying cause of death and funeral expense documents.
And that would be a huge relief to a lot of families. We will have the link to that application process posted on our website. Riley.
We do have a lot of pollen out there, and if you're trying to wash the car this weekend, I would pick Sunday rather than Saturday. We could have a few showers move through Saturday night. Now look at that forecast next.
Well, report cards are out for our Georgia school districts. This time it's not students getting the grade, it is the schools.
Every year the governor's office releases a letter grade for each public school in the state, and each county is also given an overall letter grade too, based on things like school performance and graduation rates. We went through the reports for all of our Georgia counties, and this is a look at how some of our districts scored. You see Columbia County getting one of the highest grades in our area with a B. Burke and McDuffie counties both scoring Ds. Richmond County, the only county in our area to get an F.
So keep in mind, these grade reports are based off the 2018-2019 school year, so it's pre-pandemic.
And there's been a whole lot of change and challenges in the past school year, so these grades definitely likely to change. But Celeste Springer is live in the studio with why there's more to the story than just the letter. Celeste.
Absolutely. I spoke to one retired teacher who tells me there is more going on here beyond the surface of these grades. Pat Bureau was an educator in Richmond County for more than 40 years. Going back into her memory, she recalled a day where she visited a student at home.
The floor was a very neatly swept dirt floor. The table was a cardboard box turned upside down with a plastic cloth, and the children were eating ketchup on bread for their meal. That is not that unusual.
According to the Georgia Governor's Office of Student Achievement, 49% of Richmond County students are economically disadvantaged. It's a lot higher than in Columbia County, where 14% face those types of issues at home.
we're not left with the children who are the easiest to teach or who learn the easiest. We're teaching children who struggle every day.
According to the state report cards, about 44% of Columbia County students weren't proficient in English. In Richmond County, the number jumped to almost 75%.
If a child can't read on level by third grade, I don't want to say we've lost, but we're fighting a very steep uphill battle.
And Bureau says there's work to be done in Richmond County, but she's proud of the staff there left holding up the fort.
I have a daughter who did a paper many years ago that said real teachers teach in Richmond County, and that's the truth.
Celeste Springer, on your side. The Georgia milestone results are one of course the biggest factors in these grades given out to schools. Columbia County tells me those scores will not be factored into a student's report card, and in Richmond County, due to the pandemic, those tests only count for 0.01% of a student's grade this year.
Thank you for that, Celeste. And we are looking at visible satellite imagery showing
services.
Well, it is certainly not what you want to come home to, finding dead birds in your yard, but turns out that's happening to people all across the two states.
Yeah, not really a good sign. South Carolina and Georgia DNR say the birds are actually a pretty big problem right here in our area right now. News 12's Nick Proto live for us on Hickman Road in Augusta. So, Nick, DNR says the problem kind of lies with something that's probably in your yard right now.
Yeah, DNR says because of a food shortage, these pine siskin birds are making their way down south. And people here in Hickman Road tell me they're finding the birds dead in their backyards. And DNR also says one of the reasons they're dying is actually bird feeders in people's yards. At least 3 neighbors on Hickman Road say they found dead birds in their yards.
I was walking into the backyard to grab a chair, and I almost stepped on something, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? And I looked down, and sure enough, it was a dead bird. And as I stepped back and recoiled, I almost stepped on another dead bird behind me, and then I looked around, and probably within 4 feet, there was about 4 dead birds.
Todd Schneider with Georgia DNR says the birds are pine siskins, a species that's native to the northern U.S. and Canada. But he says they make their way down here roughly every 7 to 10 years when their food supply gets low.
What happens is when the pine cone seeds fail, they'll come southward and move around trying to find food resources. So what we're seeing is basically the results of what appears to be a pine cone failure.
Schneider says food competition with native birds has caused many of them to die. Another reason is salmonella, which he says they could be getting from bird feeders. DNR is asking you to take your feeders down for a few weeks and clean them well with a 10% bleach solution.
What we want to do is try and disperse the birds from these sites, because what you're doing when you're feeding birds is you're concentrating the birds.
On the other side of the river, South Carolina DNR put out an article last week asking people to leave their feeders down until early April. They're also asking that when you do put the feeders back up, you put them in a different spot so birds don't get too familiar with the area. Schneider says if you see any of these birds in your yard, you should throw them out, but don't touch them directly. Use some gloves or a Ziploc bag. He also says if you see a big group of dead birds, about 10 or more, let DNR know so they can check it out.
Gosh, certainly not something you want in your backyard, but if you use that bleach solution, you might want to clean that out pretty good as well. Nick, thanks for all that advice. Riley?
It is going to be a cold night.
Watch 1226 on your side, wherever you go.
Breaking news to pass along. 2 people are dead after a crash in Barnwell County. This happened just before noon on Kingfisher Road near Catfish Road. South Carolina Highway Patrol says a BMW passed a vehicle in a no-pass zone, went over the center line, hit that Silverado head-on. The driver of the BMW did die on the scene, and the driver of the Silverado had to be flown to a hospital, and that person later died from their injuries too. But officials say both were wearing their seatbelts. Riley?
Cloudy skies out there this evening.